With only 2 game weeks to go, I do believe in my last 4 or 5 game weeks, I've absolutely fumbled the top 10k finish. You know, I've made some really poor decisions and I've not done well. So hopefully I can salvage some more green arrows and still finish with a decent rank. I'm still overall doing quite well, but considering where I was, I'm quite disappointed. But either way, the past is the past. We can only look forward. Make sure you like and subscribe, and let's get right into the video. So, elephant in the room, I used my bench boost and got a red arrow. It's a small red arrow, but this isn't good. The risky captaincy did not pay off with O'Reilly, and it's what caused me to get the red arrow instead of a fairly decent green arrow, but I do still stand by the decision I made. I think it was the right choice and it didn't go well. It is what it is, okay? I never like following the crowd, so even though I wish I would have made a different decision, you know, I still wouldn't have it any other way. As you can see, my bench here actually got 25 points. So even though I had a really bad game week, imagine the game week I would have had if I didn't use the bench boost. And if you don't believe this is my bench, you can look at my team ID in my channel description. You'll see this was my bench. And I know technically speaking, like I could just put anyone on my bench. It doesn't really matter. But if you watch my team selection video in Game Week 36, I said if I was going to bench any of these players, it would be the 4 I currently have on my bench. That was Raya, Saliba, Watkins, and Stark. That's a 25-point bench boost. 25 points on a bench boost usually means amazing, huge green arrow, but I made mistakes. I brought in Campbell instead of Van Heck. That's a 2-point difference. With those extra 2 points, I would have got a green arrow. If I captained Haaland instead of O'Reilly, that's an extra 6 points. I'm on a great green arrow if I captained Haaland, but I didn't. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. I made the wrong choices. It's what I've been doing a lot of recently. As you could tell, I've gone from the top 5k down to 22k. It's not great, but it's also not awful. You know, if my future game weeks go well, I can still push for the top 10k if I'm very lucky. And even if I don't, I'll still have a pretty good rank, you know, despite being at 5k on 2 different occasions this season. You know, finishing in the top 30k is still a good rank that I'd be happy with. But at the end of the day, knowing where I was a few weeks ago, it is still quite hard. But then again, it is just a fantasy football game. I can't take it too seriously. O'Reilly and Shirky and Haaland, my 3 City players all being left out of the starting 11 wasn't great. But then again, I needed Haaland to blank, so that was fine. The painful one came from O'Reilly. Guys, Man City kept a clean sheet. O'Reilly would have got 6 points in that game, providing he didn't get a yellow card. That would have matched Haaland and I would have had a green arrow. Some things went wrong, but then again, Haaland got rotated. If Haaland played, he could have scored twice and absolutely ruined me. So it's kind of fair when you think about it. And Ryan Shirky did come on to get an assist, so I can't be too mad at him. He did all right for me. The Palace defenders, they both got DEFCONs, but it's not enough. You know, I would have ideally had them both get DEFCONs when they played against Everton and maybe kept a clean sheet. But once again, it is Crystal Palace. They're not amazing. Gabriel and the Arsenal defence, you know, amazing for me. Triple Arsenal defence has been the only good thing in my team since I used my wildcard in Game Week 34. Wilson really let me down, but then again, it was technically Anderson that let me down and Wilson down indirectly because Fulham would have been playing against 10 men. And technically, they were playing against 10 men since Bournemouth got a red card. But instead of playing an 11v10, they were playing a 10v10, which was much worse for Wilson. And he was an early sub again, which wasn't ideal. The Aston Villa game was quite painful. I got a goal notification. Watkins scores the goal. Rodgers gets the assist. I'm happy. Then I find out the goal gets disallowed because it was marginally offside. I was very upset, and I know I can't complain too much because rotation risk Watkins did get me a 9-pointer. But ultimately, once again, it wasn't enough for the green arrow. Welbeck was also another huge letdown. Home to Wolves is obviously a very good fixture, but for some reason, Welbeck didn't want to get any points, you know, aside from the 2 points you get for blanking. So thanks a lot there, Welbeck. You really, like, I'm complaining a lot right now. There were so many ways I could have got a huge green arrow, but I didn't. And it's just the way the game is played sometimes. Even, like, then I wouldn't say I've got unlucky, by the way. Like, that's not me saying I'm unlucky. I think I made some poor decisions on my wildcard and poor decisions making transfers this game week. So it's on me. But there's definitely ways it could have gone better. But that's how the cookie crumbles, guys. I'm still at 22k overall. I'm still, you know, within a chance of getting top 10k if I can really play my cards right. We'll just have to see how the last 2 game weeks go. Okay, going into my team for Game Week 37, it looks good. I'm happy with it. I've got 1 free transfer, and we're going to go through my team and decide whether I should use it. Right now, I'm leaning towards not using it, and I'll talk about why, but there is a chance I could. It depends how I feel closer to the deadline. but I don't mind my team the way it looks right now. Starting off with the defence, we have triple Arsenal defence, who have been the only good thing in my team since I used my wildcard, which is quite alarming because when you use a wildcard, you want all your players to do well, not just 3 defenders. So hopefully these guys can keep getting me points. And home to Burnley, the easiest fixture in the league, maybe home to Wolves for a defender, you could argue. Either way, Arsenal need to win every single game in the league if they want to win the league, and they're not going to rotate the defence, obviously. Saliba, Raya and Gabriel are so locked, it's unreal. So hopefully these guys can come away with some big points. But Gabriel mainly because he is my captain. I was never looking at Haaland for the captaincy, and I don't own Gyökeres or Saka. So for me, it was really between Bruno and Gabriel. But I've gone with Gabriel because when he keeps a clean sheet, he doesn't just get 6 points, he gets like 9 to 11. If he gets a goal involvement, then it's going to be much more, maybe 15, 17 even. He's got so much potential for points, it's unreal. Defcons may not seem as likely when they're going to be dominating home to Burnley, but Gabriel always seems to find a way. And Saliba, while he's not a Defcon beast, he has the chance to get it. He definitely won't get me a goal involvement. He gets like 0 shots in the box, which, for a centre-back, you'd normally expect a few because he's, going to try attempt headers from corners. But no, Saliba has, no goal threat in that sense. And David Raya, I do expect just a casual 6-pointer here as well. But those points with a clean sheet do add up, especially when one of those defenders is your captain. Then we have O'Reilly to finish off the defence. I've already complained about this guy enough. He was fully rested last game week. Well, not fully rested last game week in their last game home to Palace. So I do believe he'll start away to Bournemouth. And obviously, Man City must win every game. Every game is a must win if they want a chance of winning the league. And O'Reilly is a very key player for them. So I do believe he will start. The rotation isn't a worry for me there. But away to Bournemouth isn't the easiest fixture, especially for a defender. Like, Bournemouth are pretty good going forward. And they have a lot to play for as well as Man City. So it may not prove too easy. But either way, with O'Reilly, he's got so much potential for a goal involvement and a clean sheet. There's no way I could leave him off this team. Into midfield, this is the one place where I could debate using my transfer. We have Bruno Fernandes, who I obviously wouldn't transfer out. I still think he's got a good fixture and many chances to get points with the amount of assist potential he has. But everybody owns him, so it doesn't really matter. Ryan Cherki. It seems like he's being gradually moved out of the City starting 11, which is alarming for me. But in my truly honest opinion, I don't think he's going to be rotated. I feel like he really makes Man City tick. And he is being rested for more important games. Like, obviously, Pep said he was going to rotate a lot. Like, Haaland's not there either. We know O'Reilly's not there. So he's saving his best players for the FA Cup final. And once they've played in the FA Cup final, which is obviously very important to them, they can then play these last 2 game weeks in the Premier League without needing to rest for any other competition. After the FA Cup final, I really don't think they'll rotate anymore because every single game is so important. And while that game home to Crystal Palace was important, it's easier than Chelsea in the FA Cup final. It's easier than Bournemouth away. So Cherki, I believe, will start both games, game week 37 and game week 38. Away to Bournemouth, he could be the difference maker. He's a very creative player. Harry Wilson has been a little annoying to own, to be honest. But if there was ever a fixture to turn that form around, it would be away to Wolves. And then in game week 38, home to Newcastle, it's also very good. So Wilson, listen, mate, not many people own you. And I understand why. But your bad form hasn't been without reason. You've played some tough fixtures. And your teammate decided to get a red card when you could have run wild against 10 men. But Anderson had other plans. So I really need you to get some points if I want to salvage a green arrow. My differentials, you included, haven't done well. So yeah, hopefully, guys, Wilson can turn it around for me. And I do believe he's got 2 really good fixtures to end the season. We then have Morgan Rogers, the one player I've been debating transferring out. And if I do want to sell him, it's a fairly simple transfer for me. I bring in Keane and Dewsbury Hall. And Dewsbury Hall has great 2 fixtures to end the season. Home to Sunderland and away to Tottenham. 2 really good games, but away to Tottenham isn't necessarily easy because Tottenham have a lot to play for. And I know Everton technically do, but Tottenham have a lot more on the line. Like, avoiding relegation as a Big Six club is huge. And Dewsbury Hall still has a chance to get a couple good returns in the last 2 games. But looking at his underlying data in the last 4 game weeks, it's identical to Morgan Rogers. And if you look at their next fixture, like home to Sunderland is definitely easier than home to Liverpool. But it's a bit of a sideways transfer because the Liverpool defence isn't amazing. Like, in the last 8 game weeks, they're a fairly mid-table defence. And Morgan Rogers still has good underlying data. Aston Villa still have a lot to play for. Their Champions League spot is not secure because they didn't get points against Burnley, which is annoying as someone who owned Rodgers and Watkins. You know, the Rodgers assist to the Watkins goal got disallowed, which was really heartbreaking. But because they drew 2-2 to Burnley, it now means my Aston Villa assets still hold some value because Aston Villa need to try this game week home to Liverpool. If they don't, their Champions League spot could be in jeopardy. They can't just rely on the Europa League final. And because they play on Friday, they have 5 days to rest. So players like Rodgers and Watkins probably won't be rested for game week 37, which is huge for me. So hopefully Rodgers, I've been patient with him. Hopefully he can prove to me why he's in my team. Now we go on to the front three. Haaland is here, but he isn't really here with us. It's been the case for many game weeks this season. He is not my captain, so if he gets points, he is going to hurt my rank. I don't want him to do well. We're basically playing with 10 men. Alongside Haaland, we have 2 forwards. We're going to start with Watkins. Now, I already said, I don't think Aston Villa want to rotate him, and I don't think Aston Villa need to rotate him. And the Liverpool defence is not sensational. Aston Villa play at home, and Aston Villa are one of those teams, where the difference between how they play at home and how they play away is huge. One of those teams who are always amazing at home, or always a lot better at home than they are compared to when they play away. So I'm going to keep Watkins. Once again, could sell him for Thiago. Thiago plays home to Palace, which is an amazing fixture. And even after that, Thiago then plays away to Liverpool, who may already have their Champions League spot secured by game week 38. So I could make the transfer there. But once again, it seems like a sideways move. I don't want to make sideways transfers because Watkins could also do well. I may as well roll the transfer, even though I'm kind of desperate for points right now because I want to get back to where I was, back to the top 10k. It just doesn't feel like the right move, so Watkins is staying here. We then have Danny Welbeck, who got nothing for me home to Wolves, which was really alarming because away to Leeds is a much harder game. But Brighton are one of those teams that still have a lot to play for. They're pushing for a European spot. They'll probably get one. And, they can still chase a Champions League spot too. But even if they're not chasing Champions League, they're still trying to hold their European football spot. So either way, I think Brighton are a good team to target, which is why I'm not going to sell Welbeck for the likes of Thiago. Even though Brentford have a lot to play for, once again, so do Brighton, which means Welbeck to Thiago is just another sideways transfer, which I don't want to make. And definitely Thiago could outscore my strikers. Even going back to that Rodgers potential transfer for Dewsbury Hall. Dewsbury Hall could outscore Rodgers. But there's a chance that on the flip side, Watkins, Welbeck and Rodgers all get returns, while the likes of Thiago and Dewsbury Hall blank. So I'm keeping my team the way it is and carrying 2 free transfers into game week 38. I like how my team looks. It's not amazing. If the captaincy goes right and the players that are low owned who have good fixtures, mainly Wilson I'm talking about here, Wilson, please play well for me, I could have a good green arrow. But there's also a lot of template players I don't own and it could go incredibly wrong. We will have to see. We are now looking at future transfer plans, and by future transfer plans I mean next game week, because after that the season is over. And I am really counting on the relegation battle between West Ham and Spurs going down to the wire, to the last game week of the season, because West Ham have a good fixture. They play home to Leeds. Leeds won't have a lot to play for, whereas West Ham should hopefully have everything to play for, which means I can bring in 2 West Ham players, like Jared Bowen, sell Watkins because he plays away to Man City. Rodgers, another player who plays away to Man City, definitely don't want him. I want to bring in Somerville. 2 West Ham players that need this. They need the win. They're going to be trying incredibly hard against a Leeds team that don't really want it that much. The rest of the players around those 2, it looks okay for them. Obviously, Triple Man City is going to be good. I do believe O'Reilly and Cherki will start in game week 38. Arsenal, away to Palace, right? It's not easy. You wouldn't expect a clean sheet, but you also wouldn't be surprised if they kept one. And if you consider they kind of need to win this game to win the league, you would expect they would try quite hard against Crystal Palace, who don't really have much to play for. And with that being said, I don't think Crystal Palace are just going to roll over, because mid-table clubs and lower, not lower level clubs, but clubs that are lower in the league, they love being the team that just ruins a big team's season. Especially their fans, they love it, especially if it's Arsenal. So I do believe it's going to be difficult for them, and there is a chance they don't keep a clean sheet. But if they do, then I'm once again, having a very likely green arrow because of the Arsenal defence, providing everyone else on my team doesn't blank like they have been the last few game weeks. Anyway guys, that is it from me. If you made it this far, you are greatly appreciated. Smash like if you want some good luck in game week 37, and I will see you all in the next video.